Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into a really cool idea. When it comes to keeping a project on track, should you be an architect with a perfect blueprint or more like a gardener who helps things grow? Now, this isn't just a fun little thought experiment. Getting this wrong is, believe it or not, one of the top reasons projects completely fall apart.
So let's start with a big question. Think about it. What's the number one killer of projects? You've got a brilliant team, a fantastic idea, and yet it just doesn't make it. Is it running out of money? Is it the goals changing all the time? Bad tech? What do you think?
Well, here's the answer. More often than not, it's this: broken communication. It's kind of the silent killer, right? It's when the right info doesn't get to the right people at the right time. And that leads to a whole mess of misunderstandings, redoing work, and yeah, total failure.
Now, to fix this, we've got this whole field called project communication management. It's really just a fancy way of saying, let's have a system for getting the right stuff to the right people. But how you do that? Well, that's where it gets really interesting. And that brings us back to our two main characters.
So on one side, you have the traditional approach. Let's call this person the architect. It's all about predicting the future, being formal, and having a perfect detailed blueprint. And on the other side, we've got the agile approach. Let's call this one the gardener. This is all about adapting as you go, working together, and focusing on the conversation.
So let's put these two philosophies head to head. Round one is all about the plan. How do you kick things off? Are you drafting a perfect blueprint before a single brick is laid? Or are you getting the soil ready to cultivate a healthy, growing garden?
You know, what's really fascinating here is how their goals are just completely different from the get-go. The architect wants control. They want to make absolutely sure the right message gets to the right person. So they use these formal tools like a stakeholder register. The gardener, on the other hand, is all about making everything transparent for everyone. Their tools are things like daily stand-ups. So you can see how this leads to totally different outcomes. One gives you a big, formal plan, and the other gives you flexible team agreements. So if you peek inside the architect's toolkit, it's exactly what you'd expect. It's all about structure. You've got a formal, written-down plan. You've got that stakeholder register that maps out who gets what, when. Everything runs on a schedule, with reports flowing from the top down. But then you look at the gardener's toolkit, and it's a totally different vibe. It's all about making information visible and easy to get to. You have these things called information radiators, like Kanban boards or charts showing progress, that are just out in the open for everyone to see. The daily stand-up meetings keep everybody on the same page, and you have simple team norms instead of a heavy formal document. Okay, let's move on to round two. Planning is one thing, but what about the day-to-day grind? How does communication actually happen? Are you just executing a plan you already wrote, or are you actively engaging in a conversation that's always evolving? In the architect's world, a lot of communication is a one-way street. You know, think about performance reports or formal presentations. They get pushed out from the project manager to the stakeholders. It's an efficient way to broadcast information, for sure. But for the gardener, man, everything is built on two-way conversations. It's not about just sending a report and walking away. It's about having real-time talks, asking questions, and getting feedback right then and there. This is why things like sprint reviews are so incredibly powerful. This table just breaks it down perfectly. I mean, look at the focus. The architect is all about executing the plan. They use formal reports and presentations. The gardener? They're all about continuous engagement, using things like interactive sprint reviews. And this leads to a different outcome, right? For the architect, you get a set of official communications. For the gardener, you get a living, breathing backlog and a dashboard that shows you what's happening right now. And that brings us to our final round, the feedback loop. This is so important. How do you even know if your communication is working? Are you just monitoring to see if people are following the plan? Or are you constantly looking for ways to actually improve the whole process? The huge difference here is who does the checking and how they do it. With the architect's model, it's usually the project manager who's the judge. And if you want to change something, you've got to file a formal change request. But in the gardener's world, the entire team and the stakeholders, they look at things together. They do it in retrospectives, and they make tiny little adjustments in every single sprint. And this quote right here, this just nails the entire philosophical divide. Is communication just something you check a box on and monitor with reports? Or is it a living thing that you are constantly trying to make better through real, honest feedback?
So, after 3 rounds, what's the verdict? Who wins the fight, the architect or the gardener? Well, the real answer is it totally depends. It's not about one being better than the other. It's about picking the right tool for the job you're actually doing.
So here's your cheat sheet. You go with the architect when your project is super predictable, when the requirements are locked in, and when your stakeholders really do prefer getting those formal, scheduled reports. But you should choose the gardener when your project is full of unknowns, when you expect the requirements to change, and when you've got a collaborative team that just thrives on a real-time interaction.
So, how do you actually make that call? Well, it's a pretty simple 3-step process. First, just be honest about how certain or uncertain your project is. Second, take a good, hard look at your team's culture. And third, figure out what your stakeholders actually need from you. What do they expect?
And that's really the key takeaway here. The next time you're starting something new, don't just fall back on your old habits. Just take a second and ask yourself this critical question. To make this thing real, to bring it to life, do we need the detailed blueprint of an architect, or do we need the nurturing hand of a gardener? Because the answer to that question is going to shape everything. Thanks for tuning in.